All right, everybody, welcome to our show over here tonight. We're going to be talking about analog mixers. Since a lot of us are stuck when we go to a venue to work with whatever mixers they happen to give us, they're usually not digital, they're usually analog, and it's okay. I mean, we're trying our best, but we're in 2025, guys, and it'd be kind of nice if we had the newer mixers, but you get what you get, you make it work with what you but you make it work. And I think it's fine. I mean, everyone's going to go the best way they can, and you can't get mad at them or anything like that. So if you ever come into with your FX30, the FX3, your FX6, your Canon new C50s, the C80s, or the C400 series, or the C100, 200, 300 with the XLR handles, you're like, I want to get audio to go over to the live stream. Or if you happen to have like one of those Blackmagic HD switchers, we are kind of stuck in a rut type of situation. So we're going to talk today about how to fix that problem. It's kind of one of those things where you have to go backwards in time to before 2000. I'm joking a little bit, but really you need to go back in time before COVID and kind of get to know some of the mixers. So we're going to start off with the first mixer in our group, which is one of our common mixers that we work with, and that is going to be a mixer that's made by Yamaha. Now, Yamaha has been around the game for a long time, and they do a really great job. But then again, this is still an analog mixer, so I'm going to bring the image up a little bit here real quick so you can see it. So one of the first things you'll see is all these knobs. Now, let's be real. Not everyone wants to know or understand what these knobs are. I mean, that's a lot to learn. You're a cameraman. You're not an audio engineer. So the first things I'm going to tell you they're going to be looking for is going to be these auxiliary lines. We'll head up to the top of the mixer. You'll see one, two of these here. And you'll see a group 1 and you'll see a group 2 and you'll see a monitor out. These are the ones you really want to work with. A lot of times what happens is if you're working with house engineers, they'll tell you just plug into here and here. Two major mistakes happen when you do that. Let's talk about that real quick. The first major mistake is signal output may be too strong. So you're going to end up with too much signal in your camera's system in general. And two, since it's a signal going out already to some other speakers and there's some signal plugged into this, these two have the same preamp. So, for example, this and this will have the same output amperage, which can sometimes cause all that noise that we run into. Now, I know we're like, there's got to be a solution to this noise thing. And part of that is there is a solution, but it's not what you think it is. When I think about solutions, I think, well, what we could do to make this so much better for us. And I think what happens is we forget sometimes there isn't a really good solution with this. Because, I mean, they give us what they give us. And it's not always what we want. Hold on just a second here. I'm trying to fix something, and for some reason it refuses to work with me here. You, over here. Come on. All right, give me just one moment here. I'm fixing one thing so I can kind of help you out on this a little bit. All right. All right. So when we're looking at this mixer, one of the first things you'll probably notice is that they're on the same path. It's going to cause interference. And when it causes that interference, you end up with that hissing noise, and it's just a terrible sound all the way together. So where you want to get to is either auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2 are the two best. Next best would be group 1 and group 2. And then you can also use monitor. Please avoid this at all costs. Do not use the phono jack or headphone jack. That's not going to be an optimal thing for you. But it'll look like the right cable connection, but it will not give you the right sound. So you want to do auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, and maybe a monitor out. And how do I make those things work? Well, I got like a Yamaha mixer that I have no clue where to go with this. Well, here is auxiliary 1 and here's auxiliary 2. These send the master signal out. So for example, this is the sound that may be coming out of, these speakers, these inputs here, and you want to make sure that you want to get those into the auxiliary jack of your C70 or your C50 or your C80 or your FX series. This will give you the correct signal that everything's in the room. So auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, but with your own independent volume so you don't blast out the system. You're not running on the same preamp, which that's where the big problem comes in. If you're running on the same preamp, you end up with that dirty signal. This prevents you from doing it, and then you put the cable in here. Now, knowing the right cable is also important too. So I'm going to show that to you in just one second. All right, there we go. Give me just one moment here. I got to change out my share screen, but I think it'll be worth the wait. Thank you all for watching. Oh, an analog mixer, Nikki? I'll show you what that is in just one second. So the cable you're going to need for your camera, if you've got a C70, is going to be this, or anything with an XLR input. It's going to be this. Give me just 1 second here. Hello there, Nikki. Give me 2 minutes here, and I'll tell you which one it is, and I'll show you what it is. This is the cable you're going to need. So you're going to need what looks like a headphone jack cable on one side, and you're going to need what looks like an XLR cable input or output cable on the other side, so you can put in the input of your C70. And that's going to be hugely important. Just 1 second here. We're going to go back over the mixer. So switch that out real quick. Let's go. We use a second mixer this time, so this is also one of the more common mixers out there. This is an analog mixer. And that cable I was just telling you about, you want to put into the monitor out or the auxiliary out 1 and 2, which is the sub out on this one here. They have different terms for different mixers. And these are all the ones without digital interfaces, without all the digital numbers and stuff on it. Now you will see that there is like a little small digital display here, but that's just a tiny bit of digital, not really a lot of digital. And so you want to put that input in here. Now, the advantage of also doing this is when you're using the auxiliary port, you can tell it which one of these auxiliaries you're using. So, for example, if you're doing a live stream and you're worried about the music in the room and you're worried about the video's audio, where the music in the room could get you kicked off of a Facebook and a YouTube, but the music or the sound off of your video that you want that sound from the room to go into the stream won't. You can go over here and turn up the volume on, say, for example, 1, 2, these two right here. So this would be mic 1, mic 2, and say this one is the video. You can turn those up, and that will be the only signal that is coming out of this monitor one right here when you turn the volume up for monitor. And that makes sure your sound is great going into your camera. Once again, you still need to use that cable I showed you, which looks like a headphone jack to an auxiliary output jack, and that will keep the sound quality really, really good. Now, the reason why a lot of hotels, resorts, and everything still use these is because a lot of the people that they hire are from people who've been doing engineering for 20 years, 30 years, so they know these analog mixers for in-house sound, which is great. I mean, if you're going to do in-house sound, awesome. If you just have a couple mics, awesome. But now we have to be able to do in-house and hybrid. These mixers aren't the greatest for it, or very rarely and I can use them for it. I have no problem doing it, but rarely do they have the correct cables there, and rarely are our videographers or our live stream teams going to have the right cables to connect to this and go to the other one, or the knowledge to be able to not have to run off of these main channels. And that's kind of frustrating because you would think this would be the way to go, but they're going to be using these for the sound in the room. And if that's being used for sound in the room, you're going to be in a dilemma because you may not want all the sounds in the room. The volume may be way too high for the input that you have on your side. Even if you turn down the volume all the way and padded it all the way, depending on how the mixer was set up, it's still too much sound. That's why learning how to use the control room, how to use the monitor stand, or let me switch out this one more time. I'll go back to the Yamaha mixer. Switch this out real quick because these are the two that are the most common, and the terminology is a little bit different for these. Sure. Or if you're using auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, or monitor outs versus using these additional stereo outs, but using these monitors outs for group 1, group 2, or auxiliary 1 and auxiliary 2, you're going to get a better signal path, less likely for things to get messed up, which is truly important. Oh, yeah, thank you. You're welcome, man. This is what these live streams are about. We're putting together classes for everyone who's in AV right now to get you set up for modern streaming and get you set up for the rest. It's going to be a program that's going to be released, I believe it's June is our slated time for that. And it's going to actually have everything from analog mixers to digital mixers to video switchers to cameras and all the rest. How to do this new hybrid world, even like when you're doing like podcasts like this and setting up someone's podcast studio or a live stream studio, whichever you want to call it. I mean, we call it podcast now, but thank you, Joe Rogan. You turn cameras into video streaming. But this is basically what you would need to learn how to do. Now, here's something that's key to understand. There may be settings that the audio engineer over there set up, and they or them don't want you to touch these gains up here, and I don't want you to touch them either. That's not what you're going to control when you're switching audio over to your camera. What you're actually going to control are these ones are called auxiliary 1s or auxiliary 2s. Those actually are going to be the one, activating the channel for the camera, 2, giving you the volume that it's going to be in comparison to each other, and 3, which is really kind of important, allows you to select if you want that sound to go into the live stream or into your recording or in your live to tape on your C50, C80, C400, your FX series camera, and all the rest. And that's gonna be kind of key because if you ever been in a situation where you're just like, are you serious? This is not what I anticipated. And it's happened to all of us. Anyone who's done this for a long period of time has walked into a room. You've talked with your client. They said, we've got a sound going in. We've got this going in. I mean, it sounds great in here. The wireless mics, we checked it. They work. So you should be able to get great audio. And you can. But the tool that they give you isn't right. And it's not what our new digital age is used to doing. Now, there are ways on these type of mixers to really get them dialed in and give you great audio. And I do it all the time. Like one of my favorite ones, if you're going to end up doing this and you don't want to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a mixer or $1,500 on a mixer, get yourself an Onyx 8. It's one of the easiest ones to work with, and it gives you some of the greatest sounds you can get. Plus, it allows you to record the audio directly into the system. And sometimes you just want to switch it out with them. Now, if you can't and you're stuck with using their audio equipment, here's where our thing comes in. You need to make sure you have a few cables. Now, let me show you the main cable that you're going to need if you have a camera with auxiliary ins. Now, there are some key things also there you need to do some changes on. So first off, if you are using one of those cameras, on the side of the switch, there's an option for microphone and line level. Always set it to line level. Yes, Nikki. The mixers are $3,000. We have our inexpensive one in the team is right around 1,000. Our other one is like 1,500. Those are the digital ones, and that's what they cost. And those are also iPad controllable and stuff like that. And we've got some we're looking at that are $25,000, and we're also running like big audio systems, then sending sub channels all over the place and controlling bands and everything. So I'm talking about the average event where someone's got 100 people, 200 people showing up, and a lot of times the in-house venue thinks they got the best stuff because they were sold that idea by somebody, and that's okay, and it's perfectly fine. Just need to have those things there. But yes, Nikki, $3,000. I'll show you an inexpensive one here. Just one of these in just a second. But if you're doing this, these are the areas you want to pay attention to. Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2. Those are your master stands for Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2. On this particular board, which is kind of cool, I like this, Group 1, 2 can also be adjusted. If you click this in and then you move those. A lot of times when you're working on a set or on a stream with somebody and you're at an event, they will not let you mess with these areas here, which are your sliders. So the reason why I'm telling you to worry about just Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2, and then utilizing Auxiliary 1 and Auxiliary 2 here is that way you're not having the audio engineer going, why are you messing with my sliders and stuff like that? Because it freaks out the audio engineer for in-house, and don't ever do that. Never do that. Just ask them, can I go ahead and do some small settings for Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2? I won't touch your sliders. And then if you want to see them smile and they watch you, because a lot of them, those engineers don't even know what this is for. So you set this to, right in the middle and right in the middle, because you want that Auxiliary 1 or Auxiliary 2 so you're protected. And then the volume comes out here, Auxiliary 1, Auxiliary 2, utilizing, hold on, using Auxiliary 1 and Auxiliary 2 for your master send out. They'll be surprised because most of them don't even know what that is. Who's gatekeeping? I'm sorry. Nikki, who's gatekeeping? And be descriptive on that. Who's gatekeeping? Because a lot of it isn't gatekeeping. It's literally they just don't know. There's owner's manuals to explain all this stuff, but I mean, I think the worst thing they ever did was with the digital and the owner's manuals on these, so you don't actually get to actually see the manuals unless you look. I mean, you really, really have to look to find them. And it's rare that you can actually find the owner's manuals without going onto the websites and downloading them. And you have to like deep dive into it. So the gatekeeping part, it's frustration when the audio engineers just, they're limited on what they know because they're just, the analog mixer companies. Okay. I'm going to do a quick brief on this. So the analog mixer companies, they still do these because there's a ton of people who are 45, 50, 60 that are still doing sound engineering and have not evolved to digital. And the decision making is we want to still have a step into the digital world, but we're still going to be kind of analog. And the best one that's been doing that is probably Mackie. So I'm going to switch out this screen. So it's going to go weird looking for just a second. But Mackie's done the best at switching this out because they don't want to gatekeep. They want you definitely coming into the future. There we go. And what they did is they brought in Bluetooth so you can still use like your smartphones, your tablets, everything to play your music and everything in the room. They brought in a digital interface for this, effects, but they've still kept a lot of the older analog stuff so that engineers who are still stuck in the old school ways is going to be the big issue. By the way, to answer that question too, there is another path if you're worried about getting into the digital without it being too much money, I'm going to pull up one more here. This is one that I've been trying to get a lot of houses to get. They just haven't gotten it yet. Q12. All right, let me pull this up. All right, so I'm going to help out my boy here. Nikki, I don't know if it's boy, girl, lady, all the rest, so please don't be offended. I just going off that. Here we go. Sure. There is an option out there without having to go into Timbuktu in price, and that's this Allen and Heath mixer. I have recommended this mixer to so many houses so many times, and their biggest rebuttal to me is the digital screen out here. They don't know how to use it. This by far is the most inexpensive way to get a digital mixer that sounds spectacular, that has easier outputs for working with videographers. Though what I'm finding is a lot of the audio engineers don't even know how to put out subgroups with these, and that's part of the reason why they don't jump into them. And if you're a hotel, if you are a small venue and all the rest, please, it is only $7.99. Get this digital mixer and replace your analog mixer. You will have 12 inputs. You will have band inputs. You will have a better output chain, and you will have internal recording. If you wanted to upgrade your house to a digital house, you have the ability to do an app on this. This also has thumb drive recording, and it can go directly into a computer for digital recording or live streaming. It is a great piece. I like that one, Nikki. This is where they should go, and I'm hoping they will. But like I said, today is the focus kind of like on the analog ones on how to get sound out to them. Now, the cables you're going to need, and it would be the same cable for this one here, is going to be made by, and yeah, I'm decided to just do this the easy way today, is going to be this cable. You're going to need to buy this. They're about anywhere from between $10 on Amazon to $70 for this cable. And it depends on the shielding and everything else. This cable here is called an XLR to 1/4 TRS cable. It gives you the ability to get the sound out of that analog plug, put it into your C70, your C50, your FX series camera, your C100, 200, 300, 400 series cameras for Canon, and you're going to be in a really strong position. And you can also get extended XLR cables and get great sound from just about anywhere in the room. Now, I'm going to recommend if you are a camera op with any of the cameras I just described, pick up this cable and also pick yourself up about 100 feet of XLR cable. The reason being is you never know where you're going to be in the room, and it's going to be a way of giving you the best sound in your recording. And a lot of times, if they can get cleaner sound off of your camera, they'll use your camera for the sound going into the live stream. And I'll get over that when we talk about video switchers in another episode. Does anyone have questions? I know Nikki's had a couple of them, but there's a couple more of you on the stream. So any questions you have right now? It looks like everyone. By the way, I am simulcasting on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and YouTube right now. So we're doing a simulcast. Looks like everyone's on the A.P.C. Productions Northwest or WA. So any questions? Yeah, I got some cable management tips. Are we talking about storage, or are we talking about connections when you have the wires connected to the camera? So which of those are you asking about? And if it is on the camera, will you have a cage on your camera, or will you not have a cage on your camera? So he says he's got it connected to the camera with a cage. Okay, so give me a second here. We're going to go over the small rigs web page. So give me just 1 second here. And then I'm going to show you a couple of really good cable management clamps that are going to make your life super easy. We're going to be doing XLR cables, so they're going to be a little bit bigger. So both, we'll do both. Give me just 1 second here. Let's see. Where's Small Rigs website? Cable management. You'll have to give me a second because I got to get directly to the correct stuff on here. The only thing I've never liked about their website is it's really difficult to search stuff. So let me find the easiest one to work with here. Where'd it go? Come on. I don't know if they still make this adapter. If they do, I don't see it. Clamps. Give me just 1 moment. I don't want to pull up anything until I've got everything put together for you, so give me just a second here. Alright, so that's not quite the one I'm looking for. Come on. That's close. Thank you, brother. It's one of the hardest topics too. When you're talking about this type of end of the work, it's not the fun part. It's the part where you really step to the next level of having the best equipment all the time and being able to be a solution maker versus having to feel like you're stuck. So let's see if I can find this clamp. They may have discontinued this clamp, so I will feel bad if they have because it's one of the best ones. And I'm not seeing it. Come on. Should be a cable clamp here. I have it, and I hope they didn't discontinue it because that will make me sad. So, cable clamp. All right. That is USB, which I don't care about. That's not important. Alright, come on. That has nothing to do with what I'm looking for. Alright, I'm gonna let you see the page I'm looking at right now, so it makes sense why you can see the struggle I'm having at the moment. So essentially what I'm looking for, wrong one. Where'd you go? Small rig. There you are. So what I'm looking for is a specific clamp that I'm not really seeing. I might have to find it on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it on Amazon. There's one that works really good. It's probably one of the best clamps I've ever seen. Small rig. Cable. Okay, so we can go here. Let's see, that might be too small. That's for HDMI cables. Nope. Get in there. Come on. Oh, man. All right, so give me 2 minutes here. I'm actually going to find the one I purchased through my own purchases in the past, and get that up there for us. And then we're in a small rig. We're going to need cable clamping. So basically the question came down to if we're connecting it to the camera and we're connecting it to the cage. So if we're connecting it to just the camera, a rigged camera, gaffer's tape. This one's actually pretty easy. You just basically take 2 big strips of gaffer tape, this stuff right here, and essentially, I got this mic cable here so I can show you off this, is you basically wrap 2 pieces like this, and that will hold the cables in place. That way, if you yanked on the first one, it won't break at it, it won't do the other. That is the simplest solution, but the best solution I found is these clamps, and I'm just trying to find the one that I like to use. I'll order small rig. All right, so that should put me. Come on. Man, I've ordered a lot of small rig stuff over the years. Yeah, actually I have some thoughts on that. Give me just a minute. Let me get this piece up here. See his questionnaire. He's asking about the C50 versus the FX3. The short of it is the C50 is Canon's answer to the FX3 5 years after the FX3 came out. So in my opinion, they did a great job of building a great camera. And it's barely edging out the, and this is just my personal opinion, it's barely edging out. Okay, I can't find that clamp. Sorry, I just can't seem to find it. Anyway, you want to use a clamping system. There's a lot of people make them, but you want to use a clamping system for that. And that'll save you a ton on that. Have I tested the new C50? Not enough to give an answer. I mean, that's the best answer I can give you. I've played with it a little bit. But no, not enough to give you a real answer. I'm going to take one out this summer or just whenever I get a hot shoot day, and I'll give an answer for that. I'm going to answer some questions for the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to call this a stream. So let me answer his 2 questions here that are really important. No, I haven't done enough testing on it to give an answer, and this is the reason why I say it. I haven't had enough chance to give it a real answer. Whenever I test a product to bring it out for production, it has to be able to run for a 6 to 8 hour day, because we do a lot of live content where we're doing streamings and everything else. We've been on the piers, we've been out in large functions and things like that. So that's super important that we have that. Number 2, heat. Every camera can survive indoor conditions with some form of modifications or light modifications and make it work with heat. Canon's had issues with heat. Every other camera manufacturer's had issues with heat. FX series Sony cameras, you can put them in a blazing sun at 100 degrees and they will not shut down. That's the reason why a lot of sets have stuck with them, even though there are newer cameras like the Panasonics, like the Nikons and all the rest. They just will overheat after 2 or 3 or 4 hours. The Sony just doesn't. And that's including putting outputs of 6K, RAW, using a dummy battery or using the original battery. So that is the reason why the FX series, in my opinion right now, is still king, because of heat management. The other reason why they're king, and I think this is a little bit better than the Canon, is even though they do not have a RAW format as RAW in camera, they have a very, very good all-intra video codecs at 600 megabits per second, at 60 frames per second, that if you utilize the free software Catalyst Browse from Sony, you can transcode it over to main concept, which doesn't change any of the footage, doesn't change anything on that, just changes the container from an MPEG-4 to a main concept or MKV folder. With that, all the metadata goes with it, and if you go into DaVinci Resolve, you get full raw control for coloring that footage from that S-Log3 footage. So that is spectacular. I'm also really happy with the preamps that are on the FX and the Sony series. They just do audio and sound. They do sound alongside of video, so they're really good at the audio side. I'll get to that in just a second. The FX3 2 will kill this C50. We'll discuss that in a second. Let me tell you some areas where the C50s. One other thing that I like about the FX series over the Canon C50 series: 2 high-speed memory cards. Canon opening up any door on a Canon will freeze up memory and stop recordings or anything like that generally. I'll have to check and see if the C50 does it or not when I take it on set for that. But relay changing data cards is always an issue with Canon. So you really do have to get a large card to get started with it. Whereas Sony, if you open up the battery door or the memory door, it doesn't care. You can switch memory cards out on the fly. It doesn't make a difference. So that's another reason why the Sonys are still king on the market. Now, will the FX3 2 be the killer for the C50? If it has the A7 sensor with the 8000 ISO, if they can expand that up to even 10,000, and they put that in the FX3, Canon's dead. There's just, nah. C50 first, dead in the water. And let them open up the open gate on that too. Because Sony doesn't play when it comes to their stuff. If they open up open gate on that camera, they're going to open up open gate all the way back to the A7 IV. And wow, that's going to be the killer. Because a lot of people don't realize with Sony, they're a unified codecs. And that's another area where Canon is not the same. So you're not going to have the same codecs if you travel up and down. This is another reason why the FX3 beats the C50, because you can go down to the FX30. You can go to the ZV. Oh, no. Canon's not dead. They're still going to survive. Canon's still going to be here. I like my Canons for certain things, especially their PTZs. But when it comes down to codecs and usability, Sony's better than everybody else out there. Because Sony will give you the same codecs for their inexpensive camera to their large camera that can be commercially used, and you can viably make money off of it and turn it into production work, which is a huge difference over Canon. C50 and the C80 will be their only chance for them to get back into the commercial usage area, where Sony has just dominated it completely. They messed up with the Canon 5RC because it did not put Canon 2 in there. They put Canon 3 in there, which gave it less color to choose from. So this is the reason why Sony just keeps knocking it out of the park, and people just can't seem to stop them. And what most people don't know is they also carry a Super 35. Now I'm gonna show you something here, Nikki. So if you're still on, I'm gonna show you a really cool camera here. So let me show you this one here, and this is gonna freak you out. This is a cool one. Sony. Is it HTCR? Is that it right there? Is that it? No. Give me just 1 second here. I gotta find it. It's on the commercial side. That's not it. That's not it. So, shoulder mount. All right, this should be this one here, and it's the. It's not that one. It's not that one. Not that one. Come on, where'd you go? Professionals broadcast. Is it this one here? Studio broadcast. Give me just 1 second here. I'm gonna show you a camera. It's just gonna make you drool. Is it this one here? Where'd you go? Yeah, baby. Is that it right there? Oh, yeah. So this, oh my goodness. So this is a camera that I want to get my hands on one of these days, but it ain't cheap. Oh yeah, I've used those. I have definitely used those. Okay, where'd you go? There you are. All right, let me show you something that's going to make you drool. And then we'll talk about the Z cams, because actually the Z cams have their spot too. We're not going to talk about those tonight because those are in a different order of cameras, but you know what? We are definitely going to bring that up in one of these upcoming videos. But just to let everybody know, Sony has this, and they have a version that lets you record. It's a Super 35 $66,000 camera that has a global shutter. And this thing is absolutely insane, period. This is the most insane camera that Sony has, and has global shutter. And if they ever get to have that sensor in like a Super 35 camera, oh, Canon's dead. This is used for sports and everything else. This is, oh my goodness. They use it for virtual. They use a PL mount. It's a beast of a camera. Yeah. I came from production, so this is the stuff that I love having on the shoulder, and it's just insane. So, yeah. All right. That was my show you a moment of a camera today. That's $66,000. So, yeah. They get up there, and lenses that cost that much. Hey, everybody who showed up on the stream tonight, I really appreciate y'all. It's always a pleasure to have people come out. Let me answer one last question for you if you're still on here, Nikki. Yeah. You're still here. All right, so where would you go? There was one on Zcam. Come on. Zcam. Yes, they do exist still. They make great cameras, period. They make great cameras. Not spectacular, not phenomenal, not rocking the world, but they make great cameras. They have a really good, easy to work with codecs. They have a really good, easy to work with RAW. Very simple if you wanted to get into your first real cinema camera. This is a great first cinema camera to get into. Works with just about every monitor out there. It's just a good starter in the cinema world. The reason why they really haven't got much love lately is because of Blackmagic, and frankly put, Blackmagic has changed the world of cinema. You now have cinema-grade cameras starting at $3,000 that are like robust beasts, and that would be the Pixis 6K, and then they've got a $5,000 camera that should be like $9,000, which is the 12K camera. And I'll be going over some of those for your daily production and interview setups. Matter of fact, like tonight, this is actually a webcam that I've got my hands on, which is a PTZ camera. The world has changed a lot. To be able to have really good video like this, really good audio, and everything else, and what we do in productions has changed. Now, that being said, you still got to know how to set up scenes like this, what we're doing tonight, and how to put up logos, get scrolling text on the bottom, things like that. But overall, I mean, we're in a brand new world where someone can come in and focus on the production side versus the camera side. But if you're looking at Z-cams, and if you're interested in one, it's a good starter camera, especially considering that you get a lot of them around $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000, and then add on a nice lens and then a monitor and be at $3,000 out the door and just really go out and start shooting close to cinema level stuff. That's a good start point. And it's that box camera versus working with, you know, the DSLR bodies type. A lot of times what I recommend to people, which is a surpriser, is if they've got an iPhone 17, this is going to freak you out. But if you've got an iPhone 17, an external battery, an external SSD card, you got better open gate than even Canon. And I hate saying this, but you get better open gate because you get ProRes RAW, 444 for the chroma set, and they get a higher bit rate. It's 60 frames per second. Now, yeah, it's a tiny sensor, so it's a 1/2 sensor or something like that. But I mean, if you look at some of the big, major camcorders out there, at $4,000 for doing work at productions that people are doing every single day, that they're charging $550 to $600 for a camera out for the day, and they're charging $150 for the camera or $100 for a rental fee. The iPhone's got a similar size sensor. It just has two camera lenses. It has a 20-something millimeter and a 100 millimeter. But you get RAW, and you get a better open gate. And I actually did a video on that. Is you get a better open gate with a different type of product. So we're in a whole new world. It's a whole change of things beyond what we used to have. So when you say RIP on Canon, I want to say that myself. I just, there's certain things I use at Canon that no one can rip. And that's the PTZ cameras. Like the PTZ cameras with 1-inch sensors are like $10,000 a piece or $7,000 a piece. We use those in productions, and man, those are great to have when you have a really light team where you've got to run like 4 cameras and you've got to run a switcher and an audio board, and you've got a 2 or a 3-man team. Those are clutch. Can't beat them. Well, yeah, it is kind of sad. But then the only reason why I even know about this is because Lumix was getting on my nerves. Everybody was talking about Lumix, and I started researching into the RAW of the iPhone and finding out it's a debayered 444 ProRes RAW and HQ all intra. I was just blown away. And I started doing research of the C50 versus the Lumix, because a lot of people are talking about doing open gate for interviews and their other work. And I'm like, if you're going to do that, get a Canon. And that is one area where I think Sony dropped the ball. Not because we need open gate, but it's just a fad that right now has become super, super important. Just like 32-bit float audio. This is 16-bit audio right now, and it sounds just fine. It's a matter of knowing how to mix things, but 32-bit float audio allows camera operators who are limited on their knowledge on audio to be able to get really good audio in situations where they just don't know how to mix audio, and that's okay. I think that's a really great tool. I think it's a phenomenal tool. Use it the way you think is going to work best for you. But yeah, the iPhone surprised me with that. But you've also got to have an external hard drive. You got to do a couple other steps. You need to be in the Blackmagic camera app. The Blackmagic camera app was built inside with Apple, and that's the only reason why it even comes close. If you're using the Apple's camera app, Canon whoops every which way it goes. So there's also a lot of caveats with that. But the codec itself is actually better, which is insane considering that Canon RAW Lite is good. We've been at this for just about 50 minutes, and I'm going to be getting out of here in about a minute and a half. So here's my sales pitch. There's been a ticker rolling down below. What's going on right now is we do these live broadcasts, and we do them to where you can. This is for my LinkedIn people, for anyone who's interested in learning, getting some shows done. We are signing up for the next year for your shows, and we're doing a 15% off deal with that. That includes our entry production, which includes a camera op that comes in, who's going to be setting up with the laptop or remote stream, your choice on that. 5 scenes that can be built. When I say scenes, I mean these are scenes. So as I switch one to the other, they're actually built out with logos, audio, any other visual effects you want on there are going to be built out. Commercial sections in them and all the rest, so that you can actually monetize your channel and turn it into something very powerful. The costs on those are going to vary a little bit. We have a very, very entry level that has no camera. It's just going to be using the camera that's on your laptop or any webcam you have and any mic you have it in your location, and we'll build out scenes. It starts in, like, I think that one's going to be $250 or $275 if you do 2 shows. That's 24 shows. Now, if you want the real big boy where we actually like really build out scenes. You get all 5 scenes. You get everything else. You get the commercial work. You get the pre-production. You get the camera ops. You get all that. That starts you at about 1,200 or so, and then it can go kind of go up from there. Either one of those, if you sign up for 24 months for the prepaid year, you're going to get 15% off. And there's other retainer versions of the program too, which gets as little as 5% in this. So it goes 5, 10, and 15% off depending on what you're doing and how long you sign up for. If you're going to do a postpaid or if you're going to do a prepaid. So that's essentially what's going on right now. I appreciate everybody who is on the show tonight. By the way, Nikki's been amazing with just comment after comment. I appreciate you. The whole idea is everybody gets an opportunity to ask questions. I'll answer any questions you have in the question and answer section. Same to you, Nikki. Because essentially, this is a community here. So you may see something and have a question answered because somebody else asked the question. So that's the whole idea here. My experience starts in 1993. It's the first time I went to an education with a camera on shoulder, and I was doing live shows by the second year and was doing 2 shows a week and a bunch of other stuff. So I've been doing this a very, very long time. I don't gatekeep. I give knowledge out all the time. I've been asked and requested by several people to do shows like this, and I kind of turned it down because it's like, I'm at home. I don't want to do this at the house, but somebody brought up gatekeeping, and this was about a year ago, and I was like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this so that everybody gets an opportunity to get the base knowledge at least. There is going to be programs coming out in June and July. There are paid programs on their Patreon, and we will get deep diving into things. Like we will actually do a whole setup, show you noise, how to set it up, how to get these cameras set up, where to put the clamps on. Every question so far that Nikki asked, we would actually have shown you video of how to do it, where to do it, when to do it, how to actually go out, how to gaff the stuff down, how to work with a sound engineer, what to say to a sound engineer, what to say to a production manager on the set. Like we're going to get deep into it so that you can get into the trade and take advantage of the brand new world we're in right now. That is the digital hybrid world where you're going to have a lot of events that are local, but also a lot of events where people are going to want to be able to stream from their phones, but be able to go on to something like this. And that's going to be next week. We're going to actually talk about how we're going to how you integrate phones into live streams at major events or at football, basketball events, and weddings and other stuff to give a brand new perspective. And this is all the things that are coming now with being a producer and production manager here in our new digital era. That being said, thank you guys for showing up tonight. You didn't have to. You could have been anywhere you wanted to for the last hour. For those who have been with me, thank you so much. Have a good night.